Hi everyone, Kramer here again. So I've been working on doing a dual pump setup for my fuel system. So trying to achieve 600 horsepower obviously needs enough fuel, and wanting to have all of this as stealthily as possible with a bit of redundancy. You know, everyone's like, oh, why don't you just fit a warbro? It's like, no, I'm not going to do that. I just overcomplicate things for myself like I do normally. I mean, even this one here, even this Deutschwerks pump is rated at something like 300 and something liters per hour at 50 psi. So even that would be adequate for, you know, a reliable 500 horsepower all day long. But what I think would be kind of cool is having this dual pump setup completely accommodated in the tank. So what I've got is I've got the factory hanger and the original pump, which is what I'm going to use for normal everyday driving, where, you know, kind of high horsepower is not demanded, doesn't need so much fuel. This one can just tick over nicely and do what I need it to do. So this has already been modified. I've got a -8, which is 1/2 inch supply line, and I've got a -6 3/8 inch return. The nature of the Legacy being 4-wheel drive, the fuel tank has literally basically 2 halves to it. So you have what's called a jet pump, which is this bit down here, and it uses the action of the return line, the flow of the fuel coming down here from the return actually draws fuel from the other side of the tank. It's one tank, but because of the hump for the rear differential, it's kind of split into 2 halves, so you end up with literally basically 2 sort of bottom pieces to the tank. So this device here brings fuel over from the other side, so I've had to retain that, and this is just modified here to fit onto my -6 elbow, bulkhead elbow, through the original plate. So I've got, this is all original. I've made up a bracket here, and this is off a second, so this bit here is exactly the same as this bit here, just off a second carrier. And, you know, I've just mounted it here with a bit of solid steel plate, and this is going to accommodate the second pump. So this will go down in here, just sit it there for now, and this hose here will come and connect up here to this Y block, which is a 2-6 inlets to 1-8 outlet, and I've got a 45-degree elbow here just going up to the bulkhead fitting here. So that's all nice and neat and compact, should work a treat. I've also got this one-way valve here, so that's going to sit, that hose will go there from the pump, from this Deutschwerks pump, like that, and this one-way valve is going to go in this hose. So I'll have to cut it, clamp it, and jobs are good. Okay, and wiring, still undecided about wiring at the moment. I mean, obviously this is all going to stay inside the tank. It's going to be, this is all just factory wiring. I'm going to have to either piggyback it off here like I have done and run them both in parallel, or I could splice it here. But just out of interest, I did a current draw test just on both pumps, just free running, just on the 12-volt battery. And the original pump was something like 1.4 amps current draw, free running. You know, obviously with no pressure or anything. I'd expect it to increase, obviously, when you got a bit of back pressure there with the closed fuel system. And the Deutschwerks pump was about, actually no, sorry, this was 1.4 amps, and the factory pump was still less than 2 amps. So obviously the newer Deutschwerks pump, much smaller in comparison to the original one. Well, not much smaller, but body diameter is certainly a lot smaller. And of course newer, be a bit more efficient, so yeah, I'd expect it to use less power. And the bigger pump, I mean, this is almost 30 years old, still works, and I'll run it until it fails. And that's part of the reason for doing this, is to have that built-in redundancy. So again, this comes down to the wiring as well. My thoughts about it were to run both pumps separately from the ECU, and to have some kind of functionality there where if one failed, then it would just sort of switch over to the other one. But still haven't decided on that yet. Might need to basically design a bit of wizardry, circuitry to make that happen. But we'll see. That's a bit later on. I might just run them both together at the same time for simplicity's sake to begin with. Or I might just run the one pump until we're sort of at a point where we're going to be dynoing and all the rest of it, and needing the fuel for, you know, maximum power. And hence the one-way valve, you know, another reason for that. So obviously just running the one pump, you don't want it to just be pressure in and sort of flowing through the other pump. Whether that's even possible, I'm not sure, but you can leave your comments below. But yeah, just a one-way valve there, just a bit of a safety sort of thing really, just to kind of keep things in check and eliminate any potential problems. And of course, yeah, if this pump fails, then I'd probably need to put a one-way valve somewhere here. There's no room, but yeah, I could maybe loop around. There's a little bit of space there to loop around and have a valve sitting up here somewhere. This hose is, yeah, it's flexible, but it's not too cooperative, but we'll see. Yeah, it's quite stiff. I don't want to have a huge loop. That'd be kind of ridiculous, but yeah, we'll see how we get on. But that's the idea. That's kind of the basis of what I'm aiming for, and I'll let you know how we get on. Okay, until the next one, bye for now.